Hey there, this is Danny, and today's tutorial is going to teach you a few of my favorite efficiency tips when it comes to travel planning. So let's go ahead and jump in. So, there are basically five main tools that I want to introduce you to, and I use these five tools for just about every trip that I plan. The first one is Google Flights. You can find it by going to flights.google.com. Pretty easy. The things that I love about it is that it searches all itineraries across all airlines, so it makes it much easier to research different prices. And if you have some flexibility, their tool makes it really easy to see if you could save money by moving your itinerary a day or two in either direction. This is the page that you'll land on when you go to the website. And to get started, you'll just put in your departing airport, your destination airport, and then when you go to look at dates, the calendar will actually populate what those flight costs are. Right now, I'm looking at round trip flights from Copenhagen to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I can kind of see as I go through the months here how those prices change. And if I go ahead and click on an itinerary, March 22nd through the 29th, for example, it'll then take me to a page where now I can view all of the flight options for leaving Copenhagen for Minneapolis on March 22nd. So I can see the different flight durations, how many stops they have, the CO2 emissions of that flight, and the cost. So for me personally, I always try to keep these itineraries as close to 12 hours as I can. 12 hours is the sign of a nice, efficient flight to the US. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one. The next one is going to be my flight back from Minneapolis to Copenhagen on March 29th. And again, I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible. So 10 hours and 40 minutes is going to be the shortest one. So now it's building my itinerary. The total price is $659, and I can go ahead and use these booking options to book with KLM. So that's a quick rundown of kind of looking up, researching, and booking a pretty basic itinerary. But the thing that I really love about Google Flights is that it helps you build multi-city itineraries. So let's say that I'm going back home to the US, and so I'm flying from Copenhagen to Minneapolis. But on my way home, I'm actually road tripping through Wisconsin for some meetings and want to fly out of Chicago. So now I can look at flights going from Copenhagen to Minneapolis on Wednesday, March 22nd, but coming back from Chicago to Copenhagen on March 29th. So now this is a multi-city itinerary. So again, I'm looking for flights here that are one stop and under 12 hours. So I'm going to pick this one. And then flying back Chicago to Copenhagen, it's suggesting this flight here that has a total time of 10 hours and 25 minutes for $402. So I went ahead and picked that one. So you can kind of see how this tool can be really helpful, especially if you're kind of a creative traveler that likes to do these multi-city itineraries. So that's kind of the magic of Google Flights. But the more you get in there and play around with it, the more you'll discover about it, I'm sure. The next tool I want to share with you is using Google Docs to create travel itineraries and kind of do all of your travel planning. I create a Google Doc as soon as a trip comes on my radar, and I use it as kind of a home base for all of the information. So as soon as I know about a trip, I create one of these documents and I lay out like each day of the trip. I put in what we'll be doing roughly, hyperlink to anything that's important, such as like a restaurant menu or a reservation number, tickets, Airbnb listings. This one is an example of a trip where my mother-in-law came to visit us in Denmark for about a week. The three of us went to Denmark's mainland for kind of a mini trip. And then the three of us flew to Iceland and spent like 3 or 4 days there together. My mother-in-law then flew home from Iceland, and my husband and I road tripped the entire coastline of Iceland on our own. So this one document has all of the information for what we did in Copenhagen during that week, what we did on the mainland, what the three of us did in Iceland, and then what my husband and I did during our solo part of the trip. It's also where I document expenses. So any expenses that we had planned on splitting get documented here. And then also did like a little bit of meal planning during our cabin weekend on the mainland, just to kind of keep everything in one place. And like I said in the blog post accompanying this video, there's a link down in the description. One thing I love about this is that it's so universal and so easy to share with people, whether I'm sending it to my college age sister or one of our parents or a friend. Because it's simply a Word document, everybody kind of understands how to navigate it, how to add to it, how to access it. So I have just found that it is a really great place to organize this type of information, especially if you're collaborating on a trip with other people. If you have the Google Drive or Google Docs app installed on your phone, it's really easy to pull this up on the go and look at it while you're traveling. Another thing I love about it is that because it's cloud-based and browser-based, it's really easy to jump into this document when you're online. So right now I'm planning a trip to Italy. So let's say that I'm on Pinterest, I'm browsing, I find this great list of best restaurants in Naples, and I want to add it onto my Italy travel guide. All I need to do is come into my browser, start typing the Italy, and it's right there up at the top. So now it has opened up my travel guide for Italy, and I'm able to go in and just plug in that information that I found, and it keeps everything really organized. My third tip here is using Google Maps to do research ahead of time into the area that you'll be traveling and kind of suss out restaurants, parks, sightseeing, shops, those kind of things that you want to do while you're there, and just add them to the map as a place you want to go. And one cool thing about this is that you can kind of just add things as you go. So I always knew that Iceland was on our bucket list. And so over the years, I had just been adding pins when I would see, something cool on Instagram or Pinterest or come across an article. I would just jump into my map and bookmark it in Iceland. And so when we went on our road trip around the coastline, I had already had all of these things kind of bookmarked in advance, even restaurants, bars, scenic overlooks, hot springs, the best hikes, camping spots, all of that. So this is a really fun way to organize information and make plans in kind of a map view. And if you don't want to create it on just like your one main Google map, another option would be to utilize Google's My Map feature, which lets you build out customized maps. This one is my Copenhagen map that comes free if you purchase my Copenhagen travel guide. You get access to this. But one thing I love about the My Maps feature is that you can bookmark things and then organize them by layer. So as you can see along the left side here, I have things divided by restaurants, coffee, picnic food, picnic spots, activities, photo spots. You can go through and deselect these layers so that if you want, you can only view restaurants. The reason why I love providing a map like this along with my travel guide is because if you are a visitor in a new city, it can be really helpful to just kind of have a map like this so that when you end up in a new neighborhood and you're not sure where to eat or grab a drink or what to do, you can just pull up a map like this with all of these layers on and easily see what's right around you and what a local like me would recommend. When I'm looking up a place, I always look to see what its score is, and I'll always go through a few reviews, and I'll even look through the pictures just to kind of get an idea of the vibe before I add it to my map. All right, now the last tool here is Google Travel, and you can find this at travel.google.com. And my advice is to have a Gmail account and use that for all of your travel related correspondence. So if you book a flight, make a hotel reservation, book ferry or train tickets, things like that, send them over to your Gmail address. Gmail will then add all of that information automatically onto your Google Calendar, but then it'll also create this itinerary page. So this is for a past trip that we took in September to Greece, but you can just see how Gmail has pulled the information right out of my inbox and kind of organized it all in this timeline format. So I can see when the flight is, what Airbnbs we're checking into, when we're going on to the next city, what our accommodations are there, our return flight, all of that. And of course, the more complex your trip is, the more helpful this becomes. So even though I really prefer these Google documents for kind of getting into the nitty-gritty details and really creating a trip itinerary, I think that knowing that this exists and that Google does it for you automatically can really help you just view all of that information in one place rather than wading through emails or PDF receipts and stuff like that. So that can just kind of help streamline and save stress when you are trip planning. Head over to the blog post for a little bit more of a breakdown of how I utilize these. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, but I hope that this is helpful as you plan your next adventure.